What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of On Target, our Hawkeye in review. My name is Kyle, your host. Welcome back to Project Potter, guys. We're here for episode 4, a shock that I did not see coming, or I should say, a surprise I did not see coming. It's like that line in I think the pilot, where Frank says, "Oh, an unexpected surprise," and she's like, "All surprises are unexpected," and he's like, that can't be true. If you guys haven't seen this before, we're just reviewing each episode of Hawkeye. I'm just doing kind of quick thoughts on it and a score out of 10. Appreciate you guys stopping by. If this is your first time at the channel, welcome, and go check out the other content. And here we go. So, guys, some of my favorite parts with this episode, super, super thoughtful and sweet that Hawkeye is alone and Kate brings him the movies and she's like, I'm saving Christmas. She's like, I'm bringing pizza. She brings a tree. She brings all these Home Alone like Home Alone, Santa Claus 2. She's like, movie marathon. It's really great. We also, guys, find out, I think in this episode that I think Hawkeye says Frank is like laundering money because there's a whole scene where we kick it off immediately sorry, I'm kind of going out of order. He's got the sword at Hawkeye's neck and then they're like, oh, let's talk about it. And there's like this scene where Frank is dancing with Kate's mom, and they're like, oh, I've never seen you this happy and stuff. And I'm like, I don't believe this for a second, dude. This is all just like a show put on, a distraction. So I was like, I don't know. I don't trust this guy at all. So that stuff I wasn't crazy about, but again, Haley Steinfeld and Jeremy Renner do just absolutely crush it in this series. Jack says like, oh, I'd rather family be laughing at me because they make fun of him for always using like the wrong adages. And he's like, oh, I guess I'd rather have family laughing at me than be alone for the holidays. And that's when Kate is like, you're right. So she goes to see Clint and he's like got peas taped up and he sits down in his recliner and he's like ready to rest, and she rings the doorbell and she's like, I brought holiday cheer. It's just great because like he teaches her how to like fling that quarter really hard, and they just are sitting through, they're drinking. It's just a great time. And once again, guys, there's Christmas music throughout this episode, and it's really, especially being Christmas time now, I'm like, what a great job by Marvel to be like, hey, this is 100% a Christmas show, and we're really like doubling down on that. So we get the LARPers back again. We find out that there are no more trick arrows, so like they have to go retrieve them. There's a funny scene where she's like, "Oh yeah, we got your arrows," and she's like, "Oh, you didn't bring your own bag?" And he's like, "No," and she's like, "Okay, well, my wife gave this to me, and it says bombshell on it." So she's like, "I don't want to give you this bag," and he's like, "Oh, I'll bring it back, I promise." And it's like a funny little scene there. Yeah, guys, I don't want to go beat for beat, but there weren't really any issues I had with this episode. I think it was a really strong episode. I thought last week's was really good, and this one was a lot less action, but I thought it was a lot more exposition. And this episode again really hit home that like Renner and Steinfeld together, man, they're just, I don't want to repeat myself, but they're just awesome. They fit so well, and it's like you really care about them. And even though it seems like Kate is a little more like in awe of Renner, sorry, I'm like going back and forth between character names and actors' names, but she finds out he's Ronin, of course, here, and he gets a couple quick flashbacks of Natasha dying, and like Ronin, we get an awesome interrogation scene where he goes to see Jon Snow, pretty boy Jon Snow, the guy that looks like Jon Snow, in the car, and then he's like, hey, I just want you to let you know that she's chasing a ghost. You need to tell her, Echo, I think, tell her to stop, or someone's going to get killed. And he's like, I don't want that to happen. And so he's like, oh, can I get my gun back? And he's like, yeah. And he already like took the knife out from the overhead compartment, and then like the dashboard, the knife under the seat. He's like, yeah, you can get your gun back. And then you just see him like fucking whip it. And he's like, come on. The big reveal at the end, of course, which I did not see coming. They go to retrieve the watch, and there's this Rolex watch, and it says Avengers Compound. And we're like, why is this watch so important? Whose watch is this? And we're thinking, like, Tony Stark had a watch, I think, but it's like, we've never heard of like an important watch in the MCU, but it's so important. And we get great Kate Bishop action where Haley just crushes it. She goes in there. He's like, okay, you need to grapple up to that window, go in there, silently break in. And she's like, I'm just going to go through the front door. And there's like an old guy like bring his groceries in. She's like, oh, let me help you. And he's like, oh, that would be great. And they go in the elevator, and she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, excuse me? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't talking to you. It's like, it's just hilarious that she doesn't even come up with an excuse. And then she's so excited that she's like, hey, can I tell you a secret? It's an Avenger I'm talking to. And it's like, it's so cute. And I just love their their dynamic. Kate shoots like these two arrows, and it's like it reveals like these flashing lights, which I didn't pick up on initially, but then Renner figures it out where he's like, oh, that's a silent alarm for people who can't hear, and it's like, oh my god, like Maya's coming or whatever. I think her like name, her street name is Echo, but her real name is Maya. I don't know, but we're gonna call her Maya for now. So she shows up and she starts fighting Kate. She's like, oh my god, and then Jeremy Renner starts getting attacked, and we're like, what's going on here? And she's like, are you okay? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm fighting Maya up here. And she's like, no, I'm definitely fighting her in here right now. And he's like, but who am I fighting? It's like this Splinter Cell agent, basically looks just like Sam Fisher dude. And I'm like, who is this? And she shoots out these like little tasers that are red. And I was like, I should have picked up on it, but there's a big reveal where she gets her helmet knocked off. And guys, it is Natasha's sister. I forget her name, but the girl from Black Widow at the end of that movie, guys, spoilers for Black Widow. I can't believe they tied it in this quickly because that movie just came out. But the post credit was like a picture of Jeremy Renner, and she was like, I'm going to go kill Jeremy Renner because I think they're blaming him for Natasha's death. But obviously we know that's not how it went down. So I hope they get a scene where they talk together, but I don't know yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, but she gets her mask blown off and she turns, and I was like, oh my God, it's Natasha's sister, the blonde girl. And it's crazy because she grapples off, and then that's when Clint turns to Kate and he's like, hey, this just got real fast. And he's like, you need to go home. Like, they hired a Black Widow assassin to come after me. And it's just crazy. And so he obviously knows who she is, or maybe not exactly who she is, but he knows she's a Black Widow assassin. And it's just like, wow. And we get a quick moment too where Kate is like, pull me up, and it like flashes back, and Clint is like, no, go home, and he cuts her down, but then she just runs back up the stairs, which was, I thought, a little strange. It's a very solid episode, and I don't think it's as good as last week's, but I would say that it's just building on last week's, and I just love watching these two on screen together, and this is a really cool reveal that I didn't see coming. And so this is an 8/8 for me. I really like this episode. Again, it's just the Christmas music, the LARPers getting the arrows back, how Kate is like, oh, we need 2 more outfits, so the LARPers are probably going to make their outfits, which is awesome, and it's just really cool. I can't wait to see like the classic suits on there, which I'm sure we'll get probably in the finale or maybe next episode. And then we still don't know who the big boss is, and I think I know who it's going to be, but I'm not sure, and so that's all exciting, guys. But the show is getting better and better. I still don't think it's like top tier, but it is good enough where I'm like, oh, this is a fun time. Like, this is a good ride. So I like this episode, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about this episode. So we got 2 more left in the season. Thanks for checking out the channel, guys. I know this is a quick one, but I don't want to spend too much time on these. I'm just kind of giving you guys my general thoughts, and I am liking the show. So yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you guys. And until next time, guys, peace.